I hit a deer today. What's today? May 22nd, 2019. Hit a deer today on the way home from work. Recognize, I'm being pretty prosaic about it. And almost as soon as it happened, I was thinking about myself. I'm getting a tooth pulled tomorrow. So I've been thinking about that, worrying about it. And but it was pretty awful. There's like 3 deer running across the road. And it pretty well just kind of came out of my peripheral vision. I had enough time to put pressure on the brakes, but not slow down enough, and I whaled them. I'm fine. I can't remember it feeling as an impact. I remember the sound a little, and my foot was pretty well on the brake, so I was decelerating. Is that the right way to say it? And it just flew out before me, skidding and tumbling and scraping, and I guess I just want to remember something of it, because it's not something that it happens every day, but it's never happened to me. It's not something that happens to everybody every day, but it's something that happens to deer every day, but not every deer every day. It just, that's the thing too. I couldn't even be in the moment. Deer didn't die, but it's dead, but it didn't die. Broke at least one leg. It was hard to tell. It just looked like a flailing mass. And it would rest and breathe heavy, and then breathe light, and breathe heavy, and breathe light. And one hind leg was definitely just completely broken. And there wasn't much. There was blood, but there wasn't like a lot of blood. If that was a person, that person could have been saved. Not by me. But as a deer, it couldn't be. I thought, well, I was driving my dad's truck. I thought, well, I could put him in the back. Maybe I could bring him home. I called an animal shelter, just wondering if there was anybody who helped deer. Basically said, call the police and game warden, to put it down and so on. Then I thought, well, when I was borrowing my dad's truck, he has this kind of knife he keeps in the truck. I don't know why. I don't know why. But anyway, I thought, well, if it's gonna go down, I could do it by my own hands. It was a dull knife. I'm a painter. I have some tools, and I thought, well, do I have anything I could use? What would someone who knew about such things do? But I don't know. I don't know where body parts are and this and that, and the deer would lay there and then it would just flail all over the place. would just kind of gently lift its head and like look aside and look here and look there. And if I knew more, if I knew how to heal, I could heal. If I knew how to kill, I could kill. Then I thought it would be worse if I just started wailing on it with a hammer. I don't even have a hammer. I have a tack hammer. A samurai monk would know how to kill the deer with, a pinprick, with a touch. And maybe I was just... That's the thing, I'm a coward either way. I couldn't save it and I couldn't kill it. I talked to it for a while, sat close and spoke. I thought, well, maybe if I touched it, it would feel better, or maybe if I waited till the game warden got there. So that it didn't die alone. But I'm not its brethren in its eyes. But I sat and spoke with it for a moment. And it seemed to respond beneficially. It's breathing. His breathing slowed. I say he because there were nubs on the head. It was what appeared to be an adolescent. I don't know a lot about animals. But it appeared to be an adolescent. His breathing slowed some, and he kind of blinked and looked at me and turned its head slowly and seemed to engage with my speech. But then all of a sudden it seemed as though it snapped out of it, so to speak, and he became volatile and flailed and so on. I didn't want to get hurt, so I stepped back, and then he started breathing very heavy. Was it a response to the way I was responding? Was it a response to my own fear? Was what I, when he was cogent with my speech, was that a different aspect? I mean, it was a different aspect of himself, but what was it? And there's a lot of ways to talk about it, depending on your belief system. But there's really only one reality. Something happened, something shifted. And I thought, well, maybe I should take a picture. Maybe I should take a video. And I'm glad that I refrained from that, because I've gotten to a point, as the world has, and I have, like, if it's not on video, it's not real. Now that I'm, pretty much a recluse and so on, just make my silly little videos, often drunk videos. I just think, video, but it's not just that. It's my outlet or my feeling of connection. The other possibility is that it is actually a teleological pull towards something in the future, that I might speak and speak and speak in these rivers of poo. So that the one sparkling drop of whatever reaches somebody someday. And a lot of it I think of as like the torch, the Olympic torch. I don't know how it really works, but the idea, I guess, would be like, the marathon, the light traveling around the world. And I don't know the path, but in my mind, the idea is like this one flame travels from hand to hand around the world in the hands of Olympians, in the hands of heroes, in the hands of those who do great things. And man, I mean, I see greatness around me. As it turns out, there's a lot more shapes and facets and shades to greatness than I ever could have imagined. It has so much to do with seeing below, behind, beneath, above the surface, which I can't. I am superficial to the max, or just official. But anyway, it would be great to not have the need for heroes, or for gods, or for saviors, or for doctors, or for those to fix our broken pieces of thought, of mind, of body. But there are heroes, and there are people who do amazing, great things. And I would assume some of those people do that because of their character, and others, their true colors, their true nature arises due to immediate circumstances, where ordinary people, quote unquote, do extraordinary things. But anyway, back to the theme of the torch, carrying the torch, Olympians and heroes, gods among men, among women, carrying the flame of truth, the flame of enlightenment, the light of reason, the light of God around the world. But then I also think of the safety net. Not that perfect reason needs a safety net. But you could be very, 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 very shy of perfect reason and perfection and God and godliness and still appear very, 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 very godly to ordinary folk like myself, and therefore be still imperfect. But I just think of, some people carry that torch for the marathon, 26 miles, or however long it is. Some people carry that torch for a lifetime, or for many years in their lifetime. But maybe every so often there is just some schmuck, some schmo, some simpleton, some loser, some very fallible, imperfect dude or chick who's just there at the right or wrong moment, depending how you look at it. When the hero is assaulted by an anti-heroic force and drops the flame for but an instant. And that's all it takes for the flame to go out, right? It takes Herculean effort to keep that flame lit above ground, that slim, distance from the center of the earth to the flame versus the center of the earth to the ground, there's not much of a difference there. If I was drawing that with the tools I have, I could not distinguish it. It's a very slim difference. But it's a difference, and it makes all the difference. And it takes days, weeks, months, years, lifetimes to keep that flame aloft. Just that bit. Enough to keep it lit. So that at the right time, at the right place, it can ignite a massive fire, light. And you only need to drop it in a little bitty puddle once, and it's gone. So before I talked about like the importance of capillaries. Can't even say I agree with everything I said or that I'm saying now, but this is a little different, you know. Capillaries do the small things over a duration of time. But to be that small thing that just catches the torch for that moment that it's dropped from a hero, so that it can be passed directly back to that hero, the next hero. Or maybe there's no one to give it to. And the small person must summon that hero in themselves. Do something unexpected, unforeseen, improbable, and impossible. Because there's no one else to do it. That's not what I did today. Like, I accidentally took a life. You know, and that's the world we live in. That we care so much for each other, that we create all this progress and so on to take care of each other. But there are problems. But then that makes me think, well, take people out of the picture. Everybody thinks it's going to be like some kind of paradise or Galapagos Islands. But, you know, a lot of nature does seem pretty cruel. Technology was cruel to nature today. And I was part of it. And like, you know, my folks helped me out of the situation. It was my dad's truck. You know, had to get his insurance, all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, like my mom said, what could you do? And my brother, he was pretty far away, but he talked to me on the phone. He's like, well, you know, deer, you know, they get hunted, they starve in the winter and this and that, and you know, I can't remember if he said, but you know, they get eaten by animals and so on. That's all true. Though this was a bad death. This was a bad death. If you believe in reincarnation, then that dude was definitely on to like a higher form of being. But I can't imagine what that type of being is. I can't say it's necessarily human, because if you were that deer and you became me, I don't know so much if that is up, except for the fact that I'm being looked out for by the force that took that force. You know, I mean, I guess we're all looked out by the same force, and it depends how you look at it. And of course, you know, It'll come for me one day too, but not that it hasn't already. But, you know, I'm not down. And it sucks. I'm not down with the circle of life. I'm just not. I can't deal with it. And it makes me feel like a coward in many different ways. In one sense, it takes a lot of bravery, you know, the bravery I don't have to, like, accept the circle of life as it is. And then I feel like it takes this, like, immense amount of stupidness and stupidity to say no. The circle of life is wrong. As it exists, it's wrong. That if we must live in a world that eats itself, and this is easy sitting now in my chair, now that I'm home, away from the road, away from the wild. It's easy. It's so easy for me just to sit back and say this now. But if we live in a world that eats itself, does it have to eat itself in this way? And then, yeah, are we supposed to be here or not? You know, I recently made my Serengeti video, which is, you know, once again, just some dumb dude. Had a couple pops, sit down on his porch, blah, blah, blah. Talk about shit like I know what I'm talking about, just like now. Do a Bennett deepity here and there and smile and go on my way. You know, and I was making this recording while I was waiting for another video to compress. I was gonna say, like, while I was compressing a video, like I was doing anything. But yet, through whatever it is that I do, there's a theme, and there are shifts in themes, and everything's become about, like, shapes and geometry lately, but in the past I had other interests, and, you know, there is this thread of concern or care or something through time. But I do wonder, like, am I continuing whatever this little story is I'm telling myself and presuming there's an audience for? Whatever that obsession, that compulsion, that pull, that push, that virtue, that disease, like whatever it is in me that compels me to do this. In one sense, it's like least resistance, or it's like the avenue that's been laid before me. You know, so I just keep walking on the road that was paved before me, you know. And I wonder, should I get off, or, you know, least resistance, most resistance? And, like, for instance, today, like, I mean, There was a being. I'm a being. There was another being. We were both, just like people talk about like race, like the accident of birth, and like being born into different classes and all that kind of thing. Same with species. Like I was born this way. I had a truck. You know, there were 3 adolescent, likely brothers, sisters, traveling on an adventure, like a horrifying adventure of truth. Not that this isn't truth, because that's the thing too. Sometimes I forget. All this imagination, all this story, this is still part of truth. And it's fucked up that these 2 truths converge. And in an alternate existence, me and this other being could have been best friends, could have been lovers, could have been mortal enemies. And if you believe in reincarnation, then perhaps I engaged in an act of beauty, in an act of freeing this soul from its captivating spirit, so that it may be captivated by a higher spirit. Or perhaps it was an evil deer. I mean, you know, the stories go on and on. But anyway, I survived. And that deer who woke up this morning on a beautiful day with its family died a horrible, horrible, horrible death. For no reason. Except for whatever it touches in me. And I can't begin to imagine why I would be worthy of such a lesson. I mean, I can't begin to imagine why I would be worthy of such a lesson. I'm only worthy in so much as we're all worthy. And I'm only worthy in so much as that other being was worthy. But maybe that's it. Maybe that deer already was a higher being. And maybe it will become an even higher being. And maybe I will just continue to descend. And I'm upset that I'm not more upset. It's just been pretty fucked up for me for a while. And, fucked up is getting to be the new normal. I don't really like it. But I didn't really like it before either, so. Maybe it's not about liking things. But at some point, resolution. I don't see that in sight. But I didn't see the deer either.